Stop Six, to me, was like home. I mean, that's where I grew up. That's the only home that I really know. So, a bit of the description. Full of kids, playing in the streets, full of gang members, full of violence, full of good times, always being outside. I mean, we knew that it was dangerous, but it was still okay, which is the weirdest thing to say, right?
Walking down the street, going to school, and I would have on maybe a red shirt and red tennis shoes, and somebody would roll up on me and say, "What's up, cuz?" You know, and pull guns out on me.
Running from crowds because of shooting.
Prostitutes on the corners all the time.
Friends smoking weed, fights.
And it wasn't necessarily the safest place for kids to be walking around, but you know, you see it, and even though you still may have your fears inside, you can never show that, because if you show any kind of weakness, you will get taken advantage of.
It was a different time, it was the 90s.
Initially, Stop Six was settled by white farmers. In 1896, Amanda Davis was the first black to buy land over in that area. But the Stop Six actually got its name from being the sixth stop on the interurban trolley that went between Dallas and Fort Worth. Over the years, there's people that are not reinvesting in their properties. A lot of people are moving out. We did have a gang problem, and so you had to be kind of cautious about your children.
We created a group, and it was Worldwide P. We have a bunch of different names for the P. I always said it was a question mark because it fit whatever the situation was. So if you were in school and you were playing sports, you were a worldwide prospect. If you were the cool kid and had all the girls, you were a worldwide player. If you were going to school to learn how to be a preacher, you were a worldwide prophet. So it just depended on, you know, who you were, what you were trying to do, and it was supposed to fit you specifically, so that way it pushed you to become the best you that you could be.
People considered that a gang, so they were trying to suspend us because we had that in the yearbook, but it wasn't a gang. It was just a group of brothers that were just friends. We were like uplifting each other.
WWP saved my life. Those dudes raised me. Those are my fathers. I was very blessed in that way. When it boils down to it, the most influential people in the life of a young person is other young people. Mom and dad tells you things, teachers tell you the way you should go, counselors try to lead you in this direction. But you're gonna listen to your friends a lot of the times.
We answered to each other, really, so we were kind of like, you know, kind of like the mob, right? We had rules, you know, we've got guidelines, we've got creeds, so we held each other accountable for it.
Everything I know about being a man, these guys helped teach me. I learned how to tie a tie from being a dub. I learned how to fix a flat tire. I learned how to shave. I learned how to talk to the opposite sex. I learned how to do all of these things from my brothers.
I wanted Quinton to understand it wouldn't be an excuse that I'm a single mother, so I don't care what statistics say. You will be a man of God. College is not a choice. It has to be done, and you will have morals. We were very close, but I didn't try to be his friend. I was determined to be his mother, which I think is ministry.
We all slept on each other's couches at some point because, again, single moms, not always having, you know, way to school or not having money for lunch.
Selected my college and stayed in college because those guys fed me and clothed me and gave me a roof over my head while I was there. So it was the ultimate peer pressure, but it was the peer pressure in a positive way.
He began to see that if he surrounded himself with positive people, positive things would happen. I think it was just to know that we were not going to let you cop out.
Just being a single mother, period, was hard. Just knowing the different things that he could have gotten involved in, the gang-related things, the drug-related things, but he didn't.
We thought Dante was pretty cool. He was kind of a ladies' man. He was smart. And we just was like, hey, you want to be a dub?
We kind of raised each other, we taught each other, we showed each other we were those men. And one thing that we coined with each other is MLK is not raising from the grave. Malcolm X ain't raising from the grave. It's going to be up to us to make whatever change, whatever impact that we need to happen.
myself, Brother Dante, Brother Frank, Brother Derek, we've been in this room every Wednesday for the past 6 years. Looking at each other, trying to uplift each other and empower one another to say, don't give up yet. Stay in the fight. This mess has to stop.
You know, we were having a really good time sharpening one another and learning these things, growing each other as men. But at that point in time, it was pretty confined to that set group. Simultaneously is when it was really amped up, at least media-wise, about how unarmed black men were being killed. It wasn't something that was new to us. We knew about it, but it was hitting the national forefront at this point in time. So it was kind of just this perfect storm of those things occurring, of learning that we have to do something more than just sit inside of this place and learn what we feel like we're learning that's good for us. And simultaneously, we can see visibly that the nation is hurting, people are hurting within the city. They don't know what to do with it, there's not an outlet. That's what Community Frontline was birthed out of, is that how are we going to get men to begin to mobilize, to be able to do something about the issues, not just sit home and lament about them or hope that someone is going to do something. Who's going to step up and be the ones to do something about it? And that was the challenge that we wanted to put out there, and we wanted to be the first to start that.
First one, we had roughly 70 guys or so, and we just sat down, we addressed the issue of the shootings, and then we also said, it's happened, now what?
We got a whole whiteboard full of stuff because it's this much stuff and then some to address. And we some sorry individuals if we sit around and wait on somebody else to do it. We complain all the time and nobody wants to do anything. But let's stop tonight. If we're about anything, if we men, I need you to stop looking for Martin Luther King to get up in the grave. You are Martin Luther King. And if you don't believe that, that's why nothing's getting solved.
I remember going home that night thinking, this is something I want to be a part of. It just felt right.
When I moved to Fort Worth, I was looking for a way to plug in and to meet people. And so when I drove through Stop 6 for the first time, my initial thought was, you know, man, I didn't know that this was even in Fort Worth, this sort of setting. I was seeking diverse relationships. I wanted to live in a diverse context and not in sort of a whitewashed world. Frank, Dante, all the guys welcomed me right away. You know, they made it easy for me. They were more than welcoming.
When the guys that formed Community Frontline, I heard about it through some conversations we had around diversity before that, and then just kind of jumped in with both feet and have been a part of everything I can get my hands on since.
Funky time, funky time. I love my city.
Thank y'all for being here this morning. We're gonna meet up with Rosedale Park Neighborhood Association. They're already in the process of cleaning.
Yeah, we're gonna go up Stalk Up, then we're gonna go down, make a left on Ramey, and then make a left on Farrell. Ben has brought his lawnmower, so we'll kind of just, if we see a yard that may need to be cut, we're gonna grab it, cut it, and knock it out real quick, and we're gonna keep moving. All right?
Let's get to work, Frontline.
The goal of Community Frontline is to empower men to make a difference in their families and ultimately communities. As grand as the vision may be, it comes down to a community, a family, a man that wants to make a difference.
One of our main focuses is us building genuine relationships as men across racial lines, all coming together to lead as we continue to fight for racial reconciliation.
I grew up in a predominantly black community, and I sat down and had my first conversation with a white man when I was 16 years old. So it's definitely important for the sustainability of this organization and even for the future of the city that white people and black people and Latino people, Asian people, that everyone are able to come together and understand that anything that happens in this city is all of our problem. We have to dive in together. And that's when we're going to be able to really get to the root of what are the issues that are ailing people and how can we even begin to solve any of those problems.
What discourages you or upsets you about the race conversation, about racial reconciliation?
I don't like the labels that we have right here. Are we considered African American or black right now?
I'm always black.
No, I'm with you. Like I consider myself black, not African American.
I don't consider myself African.
I ain't never been to Africa, bro.
I've never been to Africa. How come I'm just not American?
It hurts. It hurts to know that my closest friends growing up and some of my deepest friends now are looked at and treated so differently, and I'm tired of not knowing how to take action on that.
The thing we do is this. The people that are here tonight are invested and are willing to bring some different people in.
Conversations have to continue to be had and relationships have to be built.
There's implications to even these conversations. We can't neglect that in 50 years change has been made, and it's been slow and it's not complete. But if we can be the catalyst to the next 50 years, then what?
One thing that we didn't talk about, I really hadn't had a whole lot in those conversations, was just policing and race relations. Definitely might jump in there and add 2 cents.
It's important for us to take time to sit and explain why it is we're doing what we do. We don't want our officers out here treating people with different color skin differently than they would treat anybody else, obviously. We don't train that way. It's important to kind of understand where each other's coming from. But if you don't have open dialogues, open, alleyways of communication, you can't ever have those conversations that figure out where each other's coming from.
An encounter I had wasn't here. I had a group of kids we took to Virginia for Junior Olympics. It was going, 5 to 10 miles over the speed limit. So pulled me over. Cool. Great. Yeah, I was speeding. Yeah. Fine. He comes back to the car and his statement was, well, since you were, cooperative and respectful, I'm just gonna let you off with a ticket. And I was like, and so my immediate,
what's happening?
Right, and so I just looked at him.
Yeah.
And I looked at the coach, and I looked at the kids. I was like, okay, thank you. But it's like, you're gonna let me off with a ticket. What else
did you have in mind?
So it's not even that a guy did something wrong. It's just that already perceived notion of past experiences.
So when officers start on the department, they will say, I will do anything to become a police officer. I just want to serve my citizens. I want to go out there and fight the greater good, and do a great job. And they tell you that routinely. It's over and over again. And then 5 years down the road, somehow they transition into becoming this cynical officer because we expose them to so much of the worst in life. Parents that harm their own children, they see people that rob and shoot and kill, and they see that for year after year after year, and they just lose all hope for humanity. And unfortunately, that bleeds out everywhere.
Sometimes the blue is almost its own race in the conversation, in a sense.
Some people have an issue with us having police relationships. Like, that's just not a popular thing to do right now, right? But those are needed.
Looking for an explanation, right? A logical explanation is why this violence happened. But there is none. There isn't. It's not logical.
I think the first time I met Dante, he just wanted us to come talk to his group and maybe answer some questions about what was going on between the relationship between certain communities and law enforcement. And he kind of warned me. He said, hey, some of the guys might be a little bit hostile, but he said, we'll try to keep them in check. It couldn't have been any more non-hostile. By engaging them, we've certainly seen that level of trust increase with them.
That's another thing we're trying to do, is to walk the tension between calling injustice injustice, acknowledging good police work and that they're necessary and that they are heroes in the community when done right, but at the same time an acknowledgement of pain and suffering. And one of the things that's hard to do with that is we don't stand over these two groups as a transcendent third party, right? Each of us is sort of members in these things.
So what Frontline has done for me has allowed me to not just kind of hear about in the news what's going on and police brutality and shootings, or just the kind of systematic racism concept, because there's a lot that you can know about that, but to really know a person who's actually encountering that day in and day out and hear their stories has been probably one of the biggest reasons that I I find purpose in what we do week in and week out with Frontline.
I can't reach out to some of the people in the community as well as they can. And I hope someday, if I ever need them to stand with me and kind of help me explain myself to the community, they'll be there and say, look, listen to Captain Shed. You can trust what he has to say. We've been dealing with him for years now. At least give him the benefit of the doubt and let's hear him out. And I mean, I guess really that's all we can hope for.
First of all, I am honored. I cannot commend you guys enough for the work that you're doing. Some great things start happening when men show up, and so that's what I'm about at Dunbar High School. So let me talk specifically about Dads of Dunbar. What does manhood looks like? You can't be what you've never seen. A lot of times I've learned in my time in education, I learn more from the students than they learn from me, right? So they come and we engage, we give back, we pour, and we have that one-on-one impact.
Having an organization like Community Frontline to come in and say, hey, we're not just going to talk about it, we're going to be about it, that says something pretty significant.
The majority of us that began Frontline, and we have our fathers growing up, so we understand the power of presence.
It's hard for students to relate to someone they see every day, but if you have people in action, men in action in the community, that's pretty profound. Just their mere presence is enough to persuade a young man or a young woman to go on the right path. I have high expectations here. I want students to be engaged, teachers to be empowered, leaders to be nurtured, and I want success for all. So I think Community Frontline wants to support and empower and encourage and engage the men of this community to support the organizations of this community, particularly Dunbar High School.
The impact of Community Frontline has been just investing just our lives, pretty much. Investing of our night times, our daytimes, our weekends. I feel like it's given us more opportunity to kind of love on other people.
Derek is out a lot of nights, and I'm not sure I would be okay with that if he wasn't doing something that we felt like was worthwhile.
Even though sometimes it can be a lot for us, like we could never be upset about it because he's just doing so much for somebody else and other people, and it's just good. I'm very proud of him.
I am extremely, extremely proud. Like, I am totally in awe of the things that he does.
I think he puts in a lot of work that most white people are not willing to do because it's hard. He moved our family to a different part of the city. This is not what I imagined for my life at all, but I want my daughter to have Black friends. I want my daughter to know that as a white person, she has privilege and that she has a choice to either stand up for the other or not to.
We have to instill in them that we're not here for us, we're here to give back to others. And if you're not here pouring into others, then what is your purpose?
I just want my children to understand that, we are blessed. We're privileged to have the things that we have.
I think it's really important that we teach our kids that it's not all about them.
This is what you live for. You live to serve others.
Hey guys, this is Shannon and Michelle.
Hey.
And we're here live in the studio ready to talk to you guys about life. Yep, that's right, life and relationships here on Meet the Stewards Reality Radio. We're so glad you guys decided to wind down your Tuesday evening with us. We have the founders of Community Frontline, so we're just excited to have you guys hanging out with us, and we appreciate you guys. I know that you guys have a special heart for the Stop 6 area. Absolutely. Is that right? What is it about Stop 6?
To make it very clear and to not get it twisted, Community Frontline is completely about Fort Worth as a whole. But Stop 6 is the hub, and Stop 6 is the hub because we're not the men that we are today, good, bad, or indifferent, without the experiences, the education, academically and streetwise, that happened right there on the east side, particularly in Stop 6.
There's always the stigma or the saying that in our community, men aren't involved, the men aren't out front leading. So we wanted to start there and just show that men are here, men are present, men are doing things, and that there's just a lot going on.
I don't care if anybody ever remembers the name Community Frontline, and I really don't care if they remember me or us really, but the hope would be that living, breathing, actual men that keep doing the work, and there's change as a result of it.
And we definitely want it to be about what we're leaving behind for our kids. And so one thing that we kind of say amongst ourselves is, Dr. King won't rise. Like he's not rising from that grave. Like he's gone. So we have to make sure that the next generation is actually living up to that. So since I have all girls, I want them to be able to understand what it looks like to see men out in front, men out leading.
I want my sons to understand that this is your duty. This is who you are. That if you are given anything, any blessings whatsoever, they're not for you to hoard and for you to keep for yourself. They're useless unless you go give them out.
I guess I can't really put a number to how many lives have been changed by their involvement, how many crimes have been prevented through their involvement, because really it just takes one person sitting down, having that relationship with that youth and letting them know that, hey man, straying down this path of criminality is not the way to go.
When they host the different events that they host, I just see more people coming out and trying to be involved and, being more involved in their kids' lives.
We've got a $1.12 million plan for redevelopment of the old Stop 6 area and trying to get people to be proud of the neighborhood and really look back at the history of the community.
I want to take the cringe away when people hear Stop 6.
That's good.
When people ask me where I'm from, and I do proudly boast Stop 6, I always get that face of, ooh, because they hear the negative perception. In some ways earned due to some real things that happened many years ago. But the neighborhood is being revitalized. I want people to really know that there's some excellent quality people and work, and it has its issues like any other community would. But if any community has issues, that's because the people in the community have to step up and do something.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And we should all rise up and give a standing O for the king, cause he's good. Yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Uh-huh. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yes sir. And we should all rise up and give a standing O for the king, cause he's good. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Think about how far we came, man. Up and give a standing O for the king. We went from bootleg tours to high quality shows, from crate making beats to high quality pros, riding in our cars, sitting on planes, to tour bus rides, but the mission ain't changed. More fans in the stands don't mean we made it. God ain't more pleased cause radio stations played it. I'm praying we stay seeking his face, so we not disqualified from the race. And my brothers promised me this: if notoriety get the best of me, make me quit. And I promise that I'ma stick by you and edify you no matter how it gets. And to the fans, please promise me too. You listen to the words, believe them and go and do. We do it for the Lord, but still we do it for you. They ain't never seen the gospel at work, show them it's true. But if I ever do lead a game, gotta leave them with something with meaning I proclaim. It don't matter if my name get deleted, what remains is the mission that ain't missing, which is lifting up his name. I read John's vision and it's plain. Christ reigns, so I'm sticking in my lane. Rap don't need me, reach don't need me, Christ don't need me. I'm limping cause I'm lame, but I'm carried by the one and only healer. Back to transition, homie, faith is getting realer. I'm just waiting for my savior to reveal a clearer vision of the only peace be stiller. I'm filled up in him, I'm still tucked in him. Once was lust driven, now I must trust the risen. Ain't pray for your brother cause I know that luck isn't the way I'ma succeed, nothing's up to luck, is it? Of course not. Look, I ain't done trying to make a change. I'm just switching up the method, let me make it plain. Trying to find my position, I ain't forsake the game. And the win is the glory of the greatest name. Right.